Alright guys, here's the Tuesday directions video. Today's assignment, we're just going to do some notes on the Byzantine Empire. This is the only day of notes in the entire unit. Quiz will be on Friday, so like I said, it's a quick unit. I mean, a lot of times I throw this in with the Roman unit, but since we had our break coming up, it'd be a good breaking point to the downfall of Rome, and obviously a big piece of that is the splitting of the Roman Empire, which leads to the creation of the Byzantine Empire. So we're just going to go through the notes today, 21 slides, and some are just pictures too. So a lot of the stuff will be just a little bit more detailed than the reading guide you guys did yesterday. So sit back, relax, take notes. Obviously, you can use your notes on the quizzes, so make sure you have the notes down. So we'll be good to go there. All right, so their learning goals. Analyze both the positive and the negative aspects of the Byzantine Empire on Europe. The vocab that we're going to be looking at today, not a lot, because obviously just one day notes, not 190 slides like we're used to. So things to look out for, aka things that are going to be in the quiz, right? Justinian's Code, the Nika riots, Constantinople, Hagia Sophia, Theodora, Justinian, and the Great Schism. So that's basically it. And I'll talk about some other people too that we'll see on the quiz as well that aren't in our vocab but make an appearance. All right, let's dive into it here. So we know that the Roman Empire divided. That was like the last thing we were talking about. It's one of the factors of the downfall of Rome, right? You never want to split your empire. It never works out good. History has shown us that, and this is just another example of that. Diocletian splits the empire up, and then everything falls apart for Rome. All right, so we want to just keep in mind that there is a Western Roman Empire and there's an Eastern Roman Empire. And the Eastern Roman Empire is also called the Byzantine Empire or Byzantium. So there's like three names, but they're all talking about the same thing. Okay, Eastern Roman Empire, Byzantine Empire, Byzantium, all the same. All right, now when they split, the first leading figure in the Eastern Roman Empire is this guy named Constantine. And we looked at Constantine a lot during the back half of the Rome unit because he's the guy that basically makes Christianity legal. And it allows it to spread, and it does thanks to Constantine. Now, Constantine, he takes over in the east over here, and what he does is he's going to kind of establish his capital. And so he names his capital after himself, calls it Constantinople. And Constantinople today is called Istanbul. It's in Turkey. So it's still around, all right? And you can still see some of the big structures, okay? So now we have Rome in the west, and we have Constantinople in the Eastern Empire, all right? So Constantinople, it gets the nickname the Golden Horn because it kind of has this peninsula kind of sticking out, and it's really good for defense, right? You can have all these great fortifications. You kind of can see them there if I zoom in, but then you won't be able to see the whole thing. But yeah, it's just a Golden Horn, good defenses. It's pretty flourishing city for the most part early on, and we'll talk more about that. All right. Now, as years go on, Constantine, fades away, and we get the introduction of our main man, Justinian. Okay, so Justinian is going to be the key figure moving forward here. Now, I'm just going to show you this map a little bit bigger here. All right, so it says the Byzantine Empire during the reign of Justinian. So as you can see here, we have Rome, right? We have Constantinople here in the green. All right, and then we got the Frankish kingdom, the Visigoths, basically all these different barbarian tribes. All right, they kind of give us a good landscape of where we're at and who's where and whatnot. So let's just get into it here. All right, so the age of Justinian. Don't worry about this Phantom Menace stuff. That was for a different class. So the Justinian ruled the Byzantine Empire from 527 to 565. So a little bit of a run, about 40 years. The first thing he does is he sends off his main man, Belisarius, and Belisarius goes to the west and basically reconquers all of the land that the Western Roman Empire had lost to all these barbarian tribes. So he sends his main man out there, and they basically run havoc and reconquer a lot of the land that they lost. That's the first thing he does. The second thing he does is he starts to do a beautification process. He's going to make Constantinople better than Rome. It's going to be the jewel, the best city in the world. Well, he ends up spending too much money doing this, and that's going to come back later to kind of bite him. One of the things that comes out of it, though, a good thing, is the church called Hagia Sophia. And again, that's one of our vocab words, so make sure you know it. Hagia Sophia is a church. Translates to holy wisdom. And this was going to be kind of like the symbol of the city, right? If you think about Seattle, you think about the Space Needle, right? So it's kind of like that. It's going to be the symbol of the city. So Hagia Sophia builds it, still around today. All right, I'll show you guys some pictures later. The third thing he does is he reforms the law system, and he invents kind of his own law system, and he calls it Justinian's Code. Okay, so that's easy. Okay, he names the code after himself, and the code is so good that it runs much of Byzantine life for 900 years. That's how good this law system is. It's almost foolproof. It's almost so foolproof that America, we kind of stole bits and pieces of it for our law system. So it's still around today. We're still using it. All right, there's 4 parts to it. There's 4 parts to it. So it's called the Code, the Digest, the Institutes, and the Novelli. That's the 4 parts. We have to know Justinian's Code. So write down the parts, jot down the stuff in bold here. So the first part is the Code, and it's just the 5,000 original laws that get put out there. The next is the Digest, or the interpretations. Basically, lawyers or judges. Basically what it is. They interpret the law, right? Here's the law. Here's how it can be used. So the interpretations are basically judges and lawyers. The next part is called the Institutes. It's the law students. It's people who study the law to become one of the interpreters, right? Very similar to we have now. You got to go to law school before you can become a lawyer. And then the last part is just the Novelli. After 534, he institutes a couple extra laws. So just kind of new laws. So the Novelli. All right. Justinian ruled as an autocrat or a sole ruler. Basically, he has complete control, and he also has control over the church. Okay, that's one of the differences between Catholicism and Eastern Orthodox from what you guys read yesterday. So here's Hagia Sophia, absolutely massive church. The pictures do not do it justice. See if I can make this bigger to kind of solidify. So here's a person right there, a statue, and so you can kind of see this thing is massive church. It would be considered a mega church if it was in like America today. All right, absolutely massive. The inside's beautiful, obviously. All right. So Emperor Justinian, he comes from humble beginnings. Basically, he starts off as a farmer and kind of works his way up. Kind of uses his uncle a little bit to help him out. Kind of get the family ties. You know, it's not what you know, it's who you know type deal. So he ends up becoming emperor through like literally a rags to riches story, which is not common during this time, right? Normally it's family lineage. Normally the wealthy people get put in charge. Well, this time it's kind of a poor guy that works his way all the way up to become emperor of the Byzantine Empire. And his wife is Empress Theodora. And Theodora is another rags to riches story. She is basically an exotic dancer, right? And Justinian goes to this burlesque club and ends up falling in love with them. So someone call T-Pain right now. But basically that's the story of how they met. And so she becomes the empress, and eventually she's going to become the shot caller, and Justinian's going to kind of just be like the figurehead. So everyone kind of knows that eventually Theodora is making all the decisions. All right, so life in Constantinople. City became a trading hub with major marketplace. Obviously, it's going to be a flourishing place with business and travelers. Population skyrockets. They have this thing called a hippodrome. And the hippodrome is very similar to Circus Maximus in Rome. It's just the chariot races, right? It's the place with the big circle, oval, very similar to NASCAR, right? They offer chariot races and other entertainment, but the thing I want to stop right here is, here's the most interesting story that comes out of this piece. Chariot races and chariot racing teams in the Byzantine Empire, if we think about like football and how passionate we are about it in America, times that by 1,000,000. Think about like soccer in Europe, times that by 5, 10. It is the number one thing that people focus on in the Byzantine Empire. The chariot races is everything, and the team you support is everything. And the teams are broken up by color. So you have like red, blue, green, yellow, whatever. Okay? Now, what happens eventually is that Justinian is also a chariot fan, and he cheers for a certain color team. So before the big race, what he does is he basically has all the good chariot racers on the other teams jailed and almost up for death. And what happens is the other fans of the other teams riot, right? Because they're going to lose the chariot races, and it's fixed. So the whole town basically marches onto the capital where Justinian stays, and they're going to try to kill the emperor because of this. And so eventually the emperor has to send like troops out, and there's riots in the streets, and a lot of people get killed. But they're literally rioting over the chariot races. Now, to put it in like modern terms, it would be like Donald Trump. Let's say he's like a Yankees fan. Okay, he's a New York Yankees fan, and the Yankees are going to play a good team. So what he does is he arrests all the good players on the other team, and then let's say the Mets, for example. So he arrests all the Mets players, and all the Mets fans storm the White House and try to kill Donald Trump. That's literally the modern day example. It's crazy how this actually happens in real life sometimes. So the Nika riots is just chariot riots where they, we'll let the video kind of explain more tomorrow. So Empress Theodora, powerful wife and advisor to Justinian, you guys will know from the video tomorrow. She kind of takes over, and she eventually, during the Nika riots, Justinian wants to flee. He just wants to give the city up. But what Empress Theodora does is kind of talk him out of it. And eventually they suppress the riots, and they do that by just killing the rioters with their troops. And that's how you put an end to it. So that was one problem. The Nika riots was one problem. The next problem that comes up is the plague of Justinian, aka the bubonic plague that sweeps through the Byzantine Empire, kills up to 10,000 residents a day. You can see the numbers there. But the thing is, to people, when the plague comes through, the people of the Byzantine Empire blame Justinian, and they blame Theodora because their marriage and their kind of like situation where she was a stripper and all that stuff. So the people in the Byzantine Empire start to think that it's God punishing Justinian for what he did. All right. So they blame Justinian for every time someone dies, or every day it gets worse and worse. Justinian becomes less and less popular because they think this is God's wrath coming down on them for what Justinian and Theodora have been doing. All right. We're kind of skip through this. Basically what happens is after the Justinian plague, it's just a big downfall for the Byzantine Empire. Once the plague kind of runs havoc on the city, they become weak, leaves them susceptible to being attacked by other groups. And since they're over in Turkey, we get a lot of Arabian groups coming in and attacking them. There's some bright spots. There's this guy named Leo. He uses this thing called Greek fire. Greek fire is when there's fire and you try to put water on it. Water is actually just gasoline for this special mix. So if you throw water on it, it just makes the flame bigger. All right. And so this really stops the Muslims in 717. So it's kind of like a pause. And so Leo's invention kind of stalls the Arabian attacks for a little bit until they kind of basically figure out what it is. But again, isn't that crazy though? Greek fire, if you put water on it, it just makes it even more powerful. So eventually it gets struck down. What I need you guys to do though is to jot down this slide here. There'll be some schism questions on the test. Basically, right, the church is split. We're going to have Eastern Orthodox, and we're going to have Roman Catholic or basically Western European Christianity. So jot down the differences there. We'll spend more time on them later. And that's basically it, guys. That's kind of the downfall. Once the Justinian plague rolls through, weakens the Byzantine Empire to a point where they're not able to defend themselves for the most part. And then invasion after invasion after invasion. And that's kind of a wrap for the Byzantine Empire. I went kind of quick because I only have 30 seconds left before I hit my time limit, but I don't want to keep you guys here all day. So thank you again. Jot these notes down. You can use them on the quiz. And again, here's a lot of the main parts. Add Leo and Greek fire on your part as well. I'll put that on the quiz as well. Leo's invention, Greek fire. All right, guys, have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, have a great day, and I will see you guys Wednesday.